Okay, welcome to this video. This video is the first video in a new series. I've got a number of series going so far. One is the Mastering Python Networking book series, where I read a book, and the book is called Master Python Networking. That series, unfortunately, just kind of fizzled out. I didn't finish the book, but there were good reasons for me to do so. I just really wasn't happy with the book. It didn't have a table of contents. A lot of the actual real world advice, there was one good tidbit of knowledge that I found really useful. And let me pull that up quick, because that's I've spent a time in my life where I kind of learned about learning, and one of the really kind of profound figures I learned about is Frederick Douglass, who was a former slave in the United States, and he risked his life and snuck into the wife of his master to learn to read. And he taught himself how to read because she had some special books that made it well. And I think she taught him too. Let me try to get this right. I don't want to spread misinformation, especially when the truth of the, I don't have to make up anything about Frederick Douglass, because the documented historical truth is already interesting enough. So anyway, long story short, the kind of takeaway, I wish they had a section. Oh, here we go. So this is it. When Douglass was about 12, Hugh Audle's wife, Sophia. So Hugh Audle was his, let's see here. So who was Hugh Audle? So it looks like Frederick Douglass was owned. Unfortunately, that is the correct terminology to use in this period in the United States, 1826. Many black people were slaves and had owners. So the way you would say a dog was owned by a specific person in this time period, you would say that a person was owned by somebody else, kind of like a dog would be owned. But his owner was, it looks like, Lucretta Auld, who was married to Thomas Auld. So let's see here. Oh, okay. So this is interesting. Okay, it's kind of a little bit different how I kind of the impression I had. Okay, so she taught him the alphabet and kind of took. This is according to Wikipedia. Okay. Oh, here we go. So it's a little bit different than I thought. I thought he was, I thought that the what's the word? Impetus? I think it's impetus. Impudous. Yeah, the impetus. No, that's not the right word. But I thought the initial way he learned to read was by sneaking it, but it looks like that's not true. He was exposed to it by somebody who kind of had a more gentle nature, and believed that he as a human being deserves to be educated. It was his right to be educated. It seems like this person believed that more than was commonly believed in certain sections of the United States at the time. So he was taught the alphabet. He was taught certain things when he was a kid under certain circumstances that were more favorable than some of his later life circumstances. So, but this is the part that I found really interesting. Douglass continued secretly to teach himself how to read and write. He later often said, "Knowledge is the pathway from slavery to freedom." As Douglass began to read newspapers, pamphlets, political materials, and books of every description, this new realm of thought led him to question and condemn the institution of slavery. In years later, Douglass credited the Columbian Order, an anthology that he discovered at about the age of 12, with clarifying and defining his rules on freedom and human rights. So yeah, that's what I wanted to communicate at the beginning of this video, is just my kind of motivations for self-learning, autodidactical, one of them being these historical figures that saw education, saw self-learning as this all-important thing. And I've never been a slave. I've never had an owner. I've never been sold to somebody else. So what excuse do I have not for taking education very, very, very seriously? Because we can see what an impact it had on people with much more dire life circumstances than myself. So I just wanted to kind of put that into words and put that up somewhere. Just how kind of impactful this story was to me. About it's a little bit different than how I initially thought it. He was given some lessons and kind of some humanity when he was younger that seemed to help him teach himself later on in life. But he did after it was so after she stopped teaching him and hid the materials from him because her husband didn't believe that his property at the time, certain humans were property at the time, he didn't think that sort of person had the right to an education. And in the United States, we don't have, in the same way, that going on. People don't have lawfully recognized owners. But this still, I think, is a very powerful message. Just how important education is, and here's somebody from history who risked his life to get an education. So I don't have to do that. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you don't have to do that. But if you have trouble staying motivated sometimes, why should I do this? Why should I focus on my education? What's the point anyway? Here you go. Here's the point. Because Frederick Douglass, he'll tell you where was it? There was a quote in here. I thought there was a quote. Oh, here we go. Knowledge is the pathway from slavery to freedom. So, and of course, the term slavery here is a very specific term, talking about a very specific thing in history. So nowadays, knowledge is the pathway from slavery to freedom. Well, we have. That's an unlawful thing, but I think the message still remains. If you're unhappy with yourself and your life, and you want to make a change, learning more is a good default thing to do, I think. So that's, and it's not quite that too, like, I'm not unhappy with my life and my situation, but I guess knowledge is power. But even then, like, I guess well, anyway, let me stop talking about this, because my thoughts on this clearly aren't organized enough to make public right now. But I think I did a good job of explaining why Frederick Douglass is a motivation for me to undergo self-learning efforts. All right, so this series is going to be on a book, just like the series I did on this book here, Mastering Python Networking. But it's going to be on a different book. This series I stopped at chapter 6. Oh my god, and it's learning about Scapy, which I'm learning about right now. Okay, well, I might want to actually come back to this series at some point, but I think right now, yeah, I might want to come back to this series at some point. But as I said, if we click here, we go to table of contents, we can see it's in gray. I can't click on it, so that's just not good enough for me. Even though this is everything I want to learn, it's just not introduced in a clear enough style for me. But one thing I did want to do before I moved on is looked back at the takeaways I got from it. So I made notes and marks here, and yeah, so one of the big takeaways, so the biggest takeaway for me for network automation is, and I think I've fallen a bit short of this, but focus on read-only stuff first, because what you do with network automation is really hugely impactful to the network, or can be. So if all you're doing is collecting data, every hour, every 5 hours, just sending out a little bit of traffic, you're really having no impact on the network itself, which obviously in professional situations is deeply consequential. So if you're just doing read-only stuff, you avoid, potentially serious consequences of making a mistake. And basically that's what in my experience, that's one of the most valuable things you can do is make a clear picture of the network and have the network be more understandable by like a forest for a trees perspective, and give management a clear sense of things in a way that can be used conversationally. Like, this advice here is just a really good piece of advice from this book, so I wanted to share it. When you're first on the job and you have a established skill set in Python, focus on the read-only stuff, and then once there's more confidence in your skills, once people see that, oh yeah, you know what you're doing on this, then switch over to the right stuff. Don't go right into, oh well, look, I can configure 1,000 switches, with this command, because you're kind of asking for more trust than you really deserve on the first day of the job. Okay, so it looks like there's some. This is one thing too, I guess I forget, but I marked this. Oh, I see. So there's no. Yeah, there's no, and this I actually kind of disagree with, because I think like with like Python and stuff, it's not that hard to. Well, I don't know. Yeah, well, no, I agree with it, because structured data like XML, YAML, JSON can just be straight up plugged into a lot of things, and just getting back like a text string cannot in the same way. So yeah, that's the downside to using those tools. The other downside is idempotency. What that means is you make a change, and then when you run the tool again, a tool that is idempotent will see that you already made the change and back off and not make the change again. A tool that is not idempotent will attempt to make the same change even though it had already been made. So that could be problematic in some situations. So it's better to have idempotency in your script, and there are tools that do that that have already figured out how to do that, and setting that up in your script is just a matter of toggling some options in the script or whatever instead of writing out your whole idempotency section. Okay, so here's another section that I thought was oh, okay, yeah. So this is something I thought was really valuable too. He shows you how to write out pseudocode, and this I thought was really valuable from this book because you can give this to like a coworker who doesn't know Python and just say like, you know, if you want me to automate this, can you please submit a ticket with some pseudocode about what you want me to do? And people are generally, I find, they think that sort of thing is fun, and you know, they want to help, but they just don't know the code. You know, this is a great way for them to help, and you know, it might not be exactly as specific as you need it, but I've found if you can get like this makes coding a lot easier to and that's the main problem with code, in my opinion, is you know, you can code anything you want, but you know, if it's not what the person who wants you to make the code wants, no matter what you make, it's not really going to be right. It's kind of like building a sports car and only having the color hot pink and trying to sell that. It's like, well, you know, it's a great car, like, you know, it runs really good, but it's got you know, it's got an internet meme on it that is not what I want on my car when I'm going around the block. So so this is really good advice on collecting those requirements for your script, making sure you know exactly what people want you to do with the code. Basically, you say to somebody, if you had, you know, all the coding ability in the world, no limitations, please break down step by step what you would want the code to do, even though you know, and this is not asking you to write the code to do it. That's what I will do, but if you can do this, it will help me do it faster and have a better outcome at the end. So yeah, this is really good advice from this book. This book wasn't a complete loss. There were some good stuff in it, and not only that, it is the exact subject matter I want and need to learn. It's just the organizational issues with the book and the kind of level of it too that I kind of had an issue with. You know, it's mastering Python networking, but I found it wasn't at a master level. A lot of it was at kind of a beginner level. All right, so here's another one. I hope I can undo these deletes because I think I'm going to misclick that and not be able to undo it. Oh, okay, so here's oh, okay. Yeah, this is a problem I've had when I've been working on this stuff and this is a common problem that you'll see is you have a command like show interface em1, and you need to you want to use the API. So how do you know what to send, what data to put in the API in order to do the command show interface em1? So one way you can do that is you can find a library, Python library for the device that you're working on, and a lot of them have it. So let's do Arista Python library. So yeah, so we have PyAPI. So this is a Python client. So it's a native Python library wrapper around Arista EOS. So there we go. So pick your poison and find one of these libraries, and that's a way you can make your life a lot easier. Yeah, so it should have a like let's go back to that Arista. Whoa, okay. Unless with Python library, there should be documentation in here. I think I don't see it. I don't see the documentation. Okay, so let's click on that and then do read the docs. Oh, I saw it. Yeah, here it is. There we go. So okay, so we've got some examples here for configuring interfaces. I wish there was like more of a, I wish this were a bit simpler here. The default section. Connect to a node. Okay, well, oh, here we go. So here's the actual repo. So there's probably going to be better documentation on here. Yeah, so here's the docs. Yeah. This is going to be the place. And if you're not familiar, if someone's watching this, well, I mean, this is kind of more for me to read the book, but I would, if I were new to GitHub, just make an account on it, do some tutorials on here. A lot of these kinds of tools are designed to be usable, so I think kind of the biggest problem you might have, and that I've definitely had with some technology, is just fear of it, just thinking, oh, it's above my head, this is for, you know, advanced guru level programmers, I could never figure this out, it's not even worth my time to sign up and try. Well, you know, that's not true. It's for literally anyone. It's for people who haven't done a lot of code, it's for people who are career coders. So the career coders will just skip the tutorials, but if it's your first time and you're intimidated by it, just do the tutorial, and if the tutorial isn't clear enough, there's also Git lab. Try that, and maybe it has better. So if it's not clear enough, you're scratching your head, you're wondering, you know, how does this work? You can do alternatives. It looks like, yeah, there's alternative2.net here. So let's find an alternative to GitHub. So there's 87 alternatives to GitHub. First one is GitLab. So yeah, if it's still over your head, you're still intimidated by it, you can't figure it out, make an account on GitLab, make an account on Bitbucket, and do the tutorials there. And then the one that you like the best, just keep learning how to do that one. And if you are at a job and they use one over the other, at least you've got, you know, the basic concepts down, because they're pretty much open. Like they're the same thing, they're just presented differently. So if for the most part, there are differences in version control. that are actual hard differences and not just kind of the presentation of it. But just getting used to the idea of working on your projects in short bursts and then saving, kind of like, you know, if I were to pull up a WordPad document, if I weren't good at using computers, what I might do is, you know, type out the whole thing, spend, you know, hours, and then hits the save button. But, you know, me being kind of well, me being comfortable using computers, what I would do is type Control S, and just anytime I got something I was happy with, Control S, because if something happens, I get it back from where I left off. And a lot of places do that automatically, like Notepad++ and stuff, so you don't have to get in the habit of that. But that's basically what version control is. And it's more than that as well. It's also, you know, Control S, Control S, Control S. Oh no, well, the fourth time I hit Control S, you know, I got off topic, I went on a tangent, I went back and corrected some things, and I really liked it better, you know, the first time I hit Control S. So let's see a difference between the first time, difference between the fourth time. Oh, I can see in the first time, you know, I used much better grammar or whatever. Let's revert to the first time and go with that instead. Or you can say, I think in this situation, this verbiage would be right. Let's say I'm going to give a presentation to an expert level. You make a branch that says my expert level presentation, and then let's say you need to give that same presentation but to English as a second language audience. So any kind of complicated vocabulary you have, you can make your presentation a bit longer, and you can be more clear and use more simple language for that, instead of just shortening it up into a more advanced vocabulary word. So, and then you can have that in a different branch, and you can switch between these branches, and not have to rewrite your presentation on the day that you're going to give it. You can have it ready to go. Okay, so yeah, so that's version control. I just felt like I had to explain that in order to explain how to find a API, operational developer reference. The other thing you can do, if your device allows for it, is pipe display XML RPC. That will directly show you what the XML equivalent of that command is. But not all devices have that. I think most that have robust capabilities for API will. But yeah, this command kind of varies from device to device, some being better on others. And there's devices I have seen that this is just really hard to find what this command is. They have it, but they're not as straightforward as this. So in that case, just finding the API, operational developer reference, might be a bit easier. Just going right to the guide instead of just trying to question mark it out and figure it out on the fly. Okay, so let's keep going through the valuable pieces I found in this book, because this series is to move on to another book. So I might come back to this eventually, but I'm just going to do a review of this book before I move on to the next book. Okay, so we looked at that. Yeah, that's valuable advice. Find the guide. That's basically what that advice is, I think. I think that's really valuable advice. Okay, so if you have worked on network designs, chances are the most challenging part of the process is not the different pieces of network equipment, but rather the qualifying and translating of business requirements into the actual design. Yep. Yeah, so this I thought was a good idea to bookmark because it just further reinforces that your goal with network automation is not just to do things fast and scalable, it's to actually meet a business need, which oftentimes is met by doing things fast and scalable, but it's not enough to just give somebody a sports car. If they want to go camping, they need a truck. So you should figure out what they need and deliver them that, instead of just saying, oh look, I'm a expert level programmer, here's what I can do, and just spending your time on something that is not needed. I mean, ideally, if you have a really high level skill set in this, you can kind of get a sense of what does and does not bring value, and kind of just go off on your own and not have to really get to the bottom of a lot of things, because you just know, okay, I can see they're deficient in this area, boom, 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 okay, now they're good, and then you can say, here's what I did, here's how it will help you, here's why I decided to do that. That's obviously a better way to do it. It just requires a lot more skill. Yeah. Okay. But I thought this was worth bookmarking this section because it just makes that point really clear that with network designs, with coding, with all that, what you're trying to do is the most challenging part of the process is not the different pieces of network equipment or the technical aspect, but rather the qualifying and translating of business requirements into the actual network design. Okay, so the next part I liked, or that I decided to bookmark, is just an example on how to write an Ansible playbook. So if you ever need to do a simple Ansible playbook just on the job, and nobody can see you pulling up your Amazon Cloud account, you can pull up your Amazon Cloud account and just follow the example and not have to memorize the details. But this is another point as well. Is books are great. They're going to help you learn a lot faster because you're basically having a conversation with somebody who's been there before, and they can tell you what they learned and what has helped them. But you can go right. That's a secondhand piece of information, because the person who wrote this book didn't. Well, he might have, but he used Ansible, but he didn't write Ansible himself. So you can just go to Ansible docs, Ansible documentation here, and and then you don't need to sign into your personal account or anything like this. Look at this, Ansible core documentation. There we go. So here you go. This is everything you would ever need to know. There's more in this than there is in this, except for the kind of personal experience. This is all just dry technical stuff. But I think relying too much on like especially like paid books is not ideal in the tech field. Going right to the official documentations and using that as a primary source is, I think, the best way to go. Although I did that for my JNCI ESP, I went right to the official documentation, and it did not. That did not work for me. So there is definitely value in purchasing a book and a guided walkthrough. Sometimes the documentation just really isn't enough. The public documentation. Okay, so yeah, let's get started on this new series. So this is a book series. So I started it off by summarizing the last book I went through. I didn't get through the whole thing, but I did walk away with some useful bits of knowledge, just how to approach a Python networking project, and some of the basic tools to get you started. But unfortunately, I did not really think that book was what was kind of the book that would be the most valuable to me. So I wanted to switch over to this other book that I have, because this is much more detailed. It looks like a much higher level, much more concepts, much bigger concepts. So, and not only that, it has a table of contents. You can see it's not highlighted out, or it's not grayed out, and it seems to have and the table of contents is really detailed and nice. So let's go ahead and read this book. So one thing I kind of got in the habit of doing when I went to college after high school, and then decided not to continue, is I took an advanced English course that taught us to read the whole book, including the beginning. So I kind of do that out of habit now, even though I don't agree with that. I think you should just get out of the book the most relevant things in the book and kind of ignore the things that are irrelevant. But anyway, it's just kind of a habit. So I like to at least just skim it, because there are some things that are relevant. For example, this book was copyrighted in 2020. Like, that's just knowing like how old the book is, knowing when its first release was. This was first released in 2019. This is another important thing too. There's errata, so that's really important to know. There are mistakes in this book, but they have been identified and corrected. So yeah, so they called it supersized machine learning, but it's actually supervised machine learning. So that's important to know, is that there is errata for the book. So if I just skipped this and went right to chapter 1, I wouldn't have seen that. Yep, and then the other important thing is this is, the first release of this was 2019, and not only that, it was the end of 2019. So this is the absolute latest cutting edge. I'm kind of curious to see this other book when this was published. I think this was similarly published around the same time. Yeah, so this is a 2020 book as well. But look at this. This book was first published in 2017, so this is actually a bit of an older book, even though it was updated. It was first, the author who wrote it first decided to write it years earlier than the authors who wrote that other book. So I think with a book about cutting edge technical concepts, basically the sooner it has been written, and granted, with updates and rewrites to the and new edition releases, possibly that would make up for it being a bit older, but still I consider this book to be more timely than the other book. Okay, so I'm going to read the preface out loud. It looks like an interesting story. One time Noah was in the ocean and a wave crashed on top of him and took his breath away as it pulled him deeper into the sea. Just as he started to recover his breath, another wave dropped on him. It extracted much. And who is Noah? Is that one of the authors of the book? Oh yeah, Noah Gift. Just as he started to recover his breath, another wave dropped on him. It extracted much of his remaining energy. It pulled him even deeper into the ocean. Just as he started to recover, yet another wave crashed down on top. The more he would fight the waves and the sea, the more energy was drained. He seriously wondered if he would die at that moment. He couldn't breathe, his body ached, and he was terrified he was going to drown. Being close to death helped him focus on the only thing that could save him, which was conserving his energy and using the waves, not fighting them. Being in a startup that doesn't practice DevOps is a lot like that day on the beach. Oh, this is so good. I'm so glad I switched over to this book. There are production fires that burn for months. Everything is manual. Alerts wake you up for days on end, damaging your health. The only escape from this death spiral is the DevOps way. Oh, this book is so good. Do one right thing, then another, until you find clarity. First, set up a build server. Start testing your code and automate manual tasks. Do something. It can be anything, but have a bias for action. Do that first thing right and make sure it is automated. A common trap in startups or any company is the search for superheroes. We need a performance engineer because they will fix our performance problems. We need a chief revenue officer because they will fix all sales problems. We need DevOps engineers because they will fix our deployment process. At one company, Noah had a project that was over a year late, and the web application had been rewritten 3 times in multiple languages. This next release only needed a performance engineer to get it finished. I remember being the only one brave or stupid enough to say, oh my god, what is a performance engineer? This engineer made everything work at scale. He realized at that point that they were looking for a superhero to save them. Superhero hiring syndrome is the best way to pick up on something being very wrong on a new product or a new startup. Oh my god, this book is so good. No employee will save a company unless they first save themselves. At other companies, Noah heard similar things. If we could only hire a senior Elang engineer, or if we could only hire someone to make us revenue, or if we could only hire someone to teach us to be financially disciplined, or if we could only hire a Swift developer, etc. This hire is the last thing your startup or new product needs. It needs to understand what it is doing wrong that only a superhero can save the day. In the case of the company that wanted to hire a performance engineer, it turned out to be the real issue was inadequate technical supervision. The wrong people were in charge and verbally shouting down the people who could fix it. By removing a poor performer, listening to an existing team member who knew how to fix the problem all along, deleting that job listing, doing one right thing at a time, and inserting qualified engineering management, the issue resolved itself without a superhero hire. No one will save you at your startup. You and your team have to protect yourselves by creating great teamwork, a great process, and believing in your organization. The solution to the problem isn't a new hire. It is being honest and mindful about the situation you are in, how you got there, and doing one right thing at a time until you work your way out. There is no superhero unless it is you. Just like being in the ocean in a storm and slowly drowning, no one is going to save you or the company unless it is you. You are the superhero your company needs. You might discover your coworkers are too. There is a way out of the chaos, and this book can be your guide. Let's get started. Bam! I love it. Let's get started. What does DevOps mean to the authors? Many abstract concepts in the software industry are hard to define precisely. Cloud computing, agile, and big data are good examples of topics that can have many definitions depending on whom you talk to. Instead of strictly defining what DevOps is, let's use some phrases that show evidence DevOps is occurring. Two-way collaboration between development and operation teams. Turnaround of ops tasks in minutes to hours, not days to weeks. But what is an ops task? I don't know what they mean by this. Let me Google that. I need an example. Here we go. Let's try this. What is an example of a ops task? What is an example of an ops task in an IT company? Let's try this. What is an example of an IT operations task? Here we go. Okay, I'm not sure what they mean by an IT ops an ops task, because if there is, because undoubtedly there are tasks in IT that legitimately take days or weeks. So I'm just curious what they consider that divider to be between tasks that are taking days to weeks that could take minutes to hours, and tasks that legitimately take days to weeks, no matter how good you are with DevOps. I'm just curious what tasks they consider in either category. Okay, but I'll just continue on. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm getting an answer to this. So that's going to be, hopefully, maybe I'll get the answer as I keep reading. So the next, so yeah, let me take a note actually. just so I don't forget the question. So we're going to take a note, and we're going to say, what are examples of ops tasks? Are there some kinds of tasks that admittedly take days or weeks, no matter the quality of DevOps? Okay, so here's my questions. First one is, what are examples of ops tasks? My second question is, are there some ops tasks that legitimately take days or weeks, no matter the quality of DevOps? And then I've got one more question, and that is, do all tasks that are there tasks that are not ops tasks that can be reduced to minutes or hours from days to weeks? Are there tasks that are not ops tasks that can be reduced from days and weeks to minutes and hours? So I've got 3 questions there. That's going to be my first note in this book. So it should hopefully, yeah, okay. So there we go. So the third example of phrases that show evidence that DevOps is occurring is strong involvement from developers. Otherwise, it's back to devs versus ops. That one makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, that one makes a lot of sense to me, actually. It's just hard because, like, now this seems to imply to me that you have a difference between developers and ops. And that I would be interested in learning more about, because to me it seems like a DevOps team would have your dev and your ops department collapsed into one, and then each person in that department would have developer and operation skills as well as tasks. So it makes it seem like my conception of that is incorrect, and you would have strong delineations between developers and ops, but you would just have them working concurrently together. And a lot of times those would occur naturally, but it almost seems like you would have, according to this book, job recs that are different, even though they're for the same team. But the fourth phrase that shows evidence that DevOps is occurring is operations people need development skills, at least Bash and Python. The fifth one is developer people need operational skills. Their responsibilities don't end with writing the code, but deploying the system to production and monitoring events. Next one is automation, automation, automation. You can't accurately automate without dev skills, and you can't correctly automate without ops skills. The next one is ideally self-service for developers, at least in terms of deploying code. This is a big one, I think. And this one gets tricky because, like, I would think that you would want, because I would think that you would want some sort of like quality control thing built in where like you can't deploy code until it's been like reviewed and checked out. But that to me seems like it's contrary to self-service because you're depending on others to approve your code. So I guess it says at least in terms of deploying code. So like once you get those approvals, you deploy it yourself. That seems like a more that seems like more what this book is talking about. But we'll see. Yeah, I'm sure they'll expand on this later. The next one is can be achieved via CI/CD pipelines, the self-service aspect. The next is GitOps. I'm not sure what that is. Okay, we got a website for it, gitops.tech. All right, next one is bidirectional. Everything between development and operations, tooling, knowledge, etc. Next one is constant collaboration in design, implementation, deployment, and yes, automation. Can't be successful without cooperation. The next sign that you have DevOps in your environment is that if it isn't automated, it's broken. Oh my God. The next sign is cultural. So hierarchy is less than process. This is a big one, I think. If you're waiting for, if hierarchy is yeah, so you should have a process that allows anyone to complete the process as long as they're properly following the process. A process that depends on, like the principal engineer approving everything before it goes through, really emphasizes that hierarchy more than it does the process. I think what they mean by this is you should have a culture where if something is defined as like a clear way to do something, it should be clear enough and trusted enough to allow anyone to do it outside of their hierarchy, because it's just a testament to the process that you can say the new guy in the first day of the job can do this process, and if they have any problems with the process, then yes, they can go up the hierarchy, get help with that. But the idea is that this process is clear and straightforward enough where they wouldn't need to do that, and that is contrary to an environment where no matter who does this, okay, you've been here for 10 years, you're a developer 2, I've been here for 11 years, I'm a developer 3, so you can't do this process until you check in with me. That seems like the kind of culture where true DevOps could not occur. The next sign that you have DevOps in your environment is microservices are greater than monolithic. This I need to learn more about. I'm hoping this book will explain that one more. The next one is the continuous development system is the heart and soul of the software team. The next one is there are no superheroes. And the next one is continuous delivery isn't an option, it is a mandate. How to use this book. This book is useful in any order. You can randomly open any chapter you like, and you should be able to find something helpful to apply to your job. If you are an experienced Python programmer, you may want to skim chapter 1. Likewise, if you are interested in war stories, case studies, and interviews, you may want to read the chapter 16 first. Conceptual topics. The content is broken up into several conceptual topics. The first group is Python Foundations. It covers a brief introduction to the language as well as automating text, writing command line tools, and automating the file system. Next up is operations. which includes useful Linux utilities, package management, build systems, monitoring, and instrumentation, and automated testing. These are all essential topics to master to become a competent DevOps practitioner. Cloud foundations are in the next section, and there are chapters on cloud computing, infrastructure as code, Kubernetes, and serverless. There is currently a crisis in the software engineering around finding enough talent trained in the cloud. Mastering this section will pay immediate dividends to both your salary and your career. And I've seen that a lot. If you go to jobs cloud, just those two words. So it looks like there's some manager stuff, but let's see how many results we got for that. Let's see here, how many results? I can't just see the number of results. Yeah, I can't see the number of results. Maybe there's another program. Oh, yeah, maybe Indeed will just show me the number of results. Oh, yeah, look at this. So 200. So that's a lot of jobs, and we can see a lot of yeah, a lot of different companies are hiring as well. Insight, IBM, Facebook, Enterprise Support Tech. Cloud engineer, that one looks, yeah, cloud computing engineer. So lots of jobs with the word cloud and computing in them. Let's look at another job. Let's just look at network engineering, because that's kind of what I consider myself more of, and what that's kind of where I think my expertise lie in, and that's more what I would search for if I were looking for a job. So yeah, we can see here there are fewer jobs in network engineering than there are in cloud computing. There's about 21,000. Cloud computing has 27, so a lot more, just thousands and thousands more jobs, 4,000 more jobs in cloud computing than there are in network engineering. It could be network engineering is more of a, that's because it's more specific of a term. Like, let's see how many network specialist jobs there are, because that's a little bit wider breadth of a job. Yeah, so we can see a job that has a bit of a wider breadth and doesn't require as much expertise has more positions open. But yeah, you know, no matter what I took, that's a lot of jobs. That should be exciting. Let's see you're something that's let's say you're a truck driver right now. Yeah, let's see how many jobs you've got. Oh, got a lot more. Okay, well anyway, this is a very unscientific way of determining how much demand there is in your field. This is not the proper way to do it. And then of course we've got, you know, all sorts of different kinds of truck drivers. But when you're saying a network engineer, there's, you know, you might potentially be accepting a job as a DevOps, as a cloud. So even though there's more results here, there potentially could be actually more potential jobs that are right for you if you're searching for the right terms in the industry that you're looking for. So yeah, very very unscientific way of determining that. But I don't know. Like I think 20,000 jobs is a lot. It's less than 500,000 jobs, but okay. So yeah, here we go. Next up is the data section. Machine learning operations and data engineering are both covered from the perspective of DevOps. There's also a full soup to nuts machine learning project walkthrough that takes you through the building, deploying, and operationalizing of a machine learning model using Flask, sklearn, Docker, and Kubernetes. So I've already did something like this. If I go to my GitHub, okay. Let me get to my, there we go. So I have, under here, deep learning for coders, a project I did with machine learning that you can upload a photo of yourself to, and it'll tell you what kind of roles you might get as a Hollywood actor. So I'd be interested to see how to do that, because this is all different stuff than I used. I used Fast AI Python library. This looks like the library that it would be the equivalent of what I used is sklearn. The last section is chapter 16 on case studies, interviews, and DevOps war stories. This chapter makes for good bedtime reading. So the last thing I want to say about this AI model is one thing I've really been considering. I kind of wish but anyway, if I had an extra, let's say, $1,600 or $2,000 would even be a lot better. I could purchase a home AI lab. I saw a like a blog article on somebody who did that and had a pretty good so let's see here. Home Artificial Intelligence Laboratory for cheap. Home Artificial Intelligence Laboratory for cheap.
Home Artificial Intelligence Laboratory for cheap around Austin. Sure.
Okay. Actually, I might need the word build in there. Build your own artificial intelligence laboratory. I guess lab is the wrong, let's say PC. Here we go. So, I saw an article on this before, where for like $2,000 you could buy a, here we go. Deep learning PC build. So this is the deep learning. There we go. Now we're on the right track. So if you want to learn artificial intelligence, you got to call it deep learning to find Google information on what you're looking for. But yeah, I mean, it's expensive. This is a lot, but think about how much you would spend on just a regular computer. My laptop here was $600. So I bought a cheap laptop. It sucks. It's got trackpad doesn't work anymore. It's the battery is like blowing up like a balloon on it. It's a bad. So like a quality laptop, it's going to cost probably like $1,000. Like a junk one like I've got, you can go cheap, but I think you can even get it down to like 2,000, and a lot of these, here's a deep learning machine you can buy for 1,100. You probably won't need that if you're just doing your own stuff. You can probably do really cool stuff with a much cheaper machine than that. Yeah, so 7K it cost him. Like, I'm sure that's a lot. And then you know, since it's your own rig too, like it doesn't matter. Like you can train an AI for a week. You know, just write out your code and train it for a week. Like if you were using someone else's rig or like paying for a rig, like the longer you use it, the more it'll cost you. But you can pay less for the hardware and then just use it for longer without paying as much. So as far as like paying like $7,000 for a deep learning rig, a lot of what you get, from what I remember in my deep learning class that I did take, is time. You get your time back the more you pay because it takes time to train your AI. So if you don't need a lot of time back, because you're not doing it like as a professional career to like sell your AI as soon as you possibly can or something like that. You can, just for home purposes, just having your AI, your computer training for, you know, a long time is not bad. Here we go. So $500 for, you know, a deep learning rig. Like, come on, like, just do that. If you're at all interested in deep learning, like, find a way to spend $500 on a deep learning rig. Like, that's what I did for my JNCI ESP, my Dell PowerEdge R610, and like, I mean, it's a thing of beauty. I just pull it up, and especially now that I know how to use it better, I've got a better operating system on it. Like, I mean, I just straight up opened my benchmark lab that I have on here, which is 12 routers, and you know, I just boot it up, and when it's up, it's up. So, and it'll be up in like 15 minutes with 12 heavy routers, and it cost me, I think, less than $600. So, and without that investment, I just couldn't do this. I could run 1, 2, you know, at most. So, I definitely recommend not going crazy, you know, buying a lot, but I definitely recommend if you're interested in AI, buying a specially made computer for AI, because it'll allow you to do things you just couldn't do otherwise. And if you look into it enough, you do enough Google searching, you probably don't have to pay more than you can afford, unless you absolutely can't afford anything. But even in that case, you can find like free labs you can jump on. It's just not like, the reason I recommend buying something is just for convenience and for just so you can use your learning time more efficiently. If you just absolutely can't afford anything, I would say focus on getting a better job. So like get a CCNA, get some kind of cert, get like a low-level tech job that pays more. You know, kind of. I've done that before where I just wasn't making any money, and I decided to get a job that really wasn't right for me, but that I could consistently do for you know, I think I did it for like a year or two or something, and you know, you can get yourself out of a hole by doing that. You just got to be careful not to go into a deeper hole because you hate your job or something like that. But I think having the right mindset and realizing that it's temporary and treating it as something that is temporary it is really important. But I realize not everyone has the same access and opportunity as I did. I was really lucky in a lot of ways. Okay, so yeah, I'm kind of off topic here, but not entirely, because I think deep learning is something I might want to get into eventually more, and I might want to actually purchase a computer for that eventually. Because definitely, if I ever buy a house, I'm in an apartment now, but if I ever buy a home, I want everything to be deep learning. I want it to learn, how many times I walk into a certain room. I want it to learn all sorts of stuff, and I want it to use the AI to run vacuum cleaners at certain times, to change the lighting at certain times. I want to train an AI to break me out of habits. Say I go into the kitchen a bunch of times. It'd be great if I could train an AI to lock the refrigerator, to look at my smart scale information and say, hey buddy, you gained 5 pounds this week and you're going to the refrigerator, lock. And then I go into the refrigerator, I'm not even thinking about anything, it's locked. And I get a notification on my phone, it says, hey fatso, you really want something from the fridge? Look at your weight data from the last week. Are you serious? So it would be nicer than that, but that's the kind of thing I really want to be able to do eventually. And I'm in my mid-30s now, so I've got a good 30 years to figure it out. That would be so cool. Just thinking about that, and then even if I don't figure it out until I'm 60 or 70, for 10, even 5 years, 10 years of an AI, forcing me into the best possible life habits would be awesome. Especially at 80 or 90, depending on how long I live, I have no idea, but a lot of people have smart health alerts. The AI could force me out of some kind of, let's say I'm doing something risky where I could fall and can't get up. The AI could be hey, are you sure you want to reach for something in the cabinet without your walker nearby? Because it could have computer vision and it could watch me doing stuff, and it could say, hey dude, you're 75, 80 years old, you're reaching into the upper cabinet and I don't see a cane, I don't see a walker, you told me that you're concerned about falling, so you better have something like that nearby. Or your life alert's not on you, but I mean, it could just do it automatically. I mean, it's limitless. It's just a matter of, I'm sure there are a lot of limits. The first limit is I don't have. And then if I buy something now, it's definitely not going to last. So, all right, I kind of got distracted here. So let's get back on track. Okay, so this is just the table of contents. Perfect, that's exactly what I want. We'll skim through it, but I'm not going to be jumping through anything. Let's just look at the headers. So we got Python foundations. This I'll hopefully be able to skim through really fast. Operations. This as well. Linux I've got a good handle of. Linux goes really deep, so there might be stuff on there that I haven't. And then CI, I could use I think more knowledge in that area. So monitoring and logging especially. So this is going to be a good chapter. I'm excited about this. Cloud foundations, basically why I bought this book. So I'm excited for that. Data, this is just kind of a passing interest. So this will be interesting to me, but I'm really not that interested at this point in having a career in data. I'm definitely more on the track of network engineering with Python, and I might be interested in cloud because they're saying and I might find myself in a situation where I can't get a job unless it's in cloud. So I'm definitely interested in cloud as well. So it's good that the thing I'm the least excited about is at the end. And I'm not the least excited about it because I'm the least interested in it. I'm very interested in this. It's just when it comes to career growth, I'm just not sure how much data is going to do for me when compared to things like cloud foundations. All right, the conventions used in this book, the following typographical conventions are used. So this doesn't matter, it's all, just skim this and move on. Okay, using code examples. Supplemental material, code examples, exercises, etc. is available for download at pythondevops.com. So this is a good thing. This is another good reason not to just skim, or not to just skip seemingly irrelevant sections of the book. So we've got the GitHub repository right there, all the examples, everything like that. We can do it in there. Yeah, perfect. So I'll keep this. I'll include this in the description section of this video. I hope to do another video today on my wild networking series. You can see I still got the BGP RFC up, so I definitely want to get through some more of that today. But right now the goal is just to start this book, because this book is just so perfect for me right now. You can also view DevOps content related to the book at the Pragmatic AI YouTube channel. So I'm going to subscribe to this with my other account. And hopefully my recommendations feed will feed me these kinds of videos. I'm pretty unhappy with YouTube, to be honest. I kind of want to keep my personal opinions out of this channel as much as possible. This one's questionable. Sometimes I get like stuff that's not appropriate, and those I always flag and report. But this one, the Vom.monster, I guess that doesn't really matter that much to me. So I'll leave that on there. Even though if you're watching this and you're a real person, don't click on that. It's a bot that's probably up to no good. But yeah, this looks like a great channel. I'm now subscribed to it. I think I'm even gonna like the introduction video just to train the algorithms to feed me this sort of content, because this is what I want on this channel.
Welcome to the Pragmatic AI Labs channel. If you're looking to learn Python, machine learning, cloud computing, GCP, AWS, Azure, you've come to the right spot. Currently, I teach at some of the top universities in the world, including Northwestern, Duke. I've also taught at universities such as UC Davis, UC Berkeley, University of North Carolina. The last 20 years of my life, I built companies. I was CTO, VP of Engineering, individual contributor, and so I'm taking all that knowledge that I had in my career and I'm giving it back with these lectures that I'm sharing with you on YouTube. So look forward to hearing more comments from you. Please feel free to ask me questions about anything you'd like to learn. And every week you'll get new content, and looking forward to talking to you all soon. Thanks.
Okay, I want to like this video somehow so that I train YouTube to send me more content like this when I'm on this channel. Ah, here we go, perfect. Okay. Okay, so we'll leave this up. We're also going to leave the YouTube channel up in another tab because I will go ahead and include all these links in the thing. So one thing that's cool about Google Chrome, that's a new feature, is you can add a group, a tab group. So we're gonna say description, video description links. Like that. I don't even have to spell it right, that's okay. So yep, so now we've got this tab belonging to this tab group. We can add the other tabs to it as well. Yep, if we just put them over the tab group, we can see the line extends to the other tabs. If we put it over this, and now we can collapse them and just have the tab group show up here. And then if we want to click an individual one, we open the tab group, and then we can switch over. So I really like that feature. If you have a technical question for the authors or a problem using the code examples, please email that. So I might be doing that. I've done that before. I think it's a good way to kind of practice your professional communication skills. I like doing that. I've done that a lot. I've made it's I might have done that too much of it in the past, but I'll keep that in mind. The book is here to help you get through your job. The book is here to help you get your job done. In general, if example code is offered with this book, you may use it in your programs and documentation. You do not need to contact us for permission unless you're reproducing a significant portion of the code. For example, writing a program that uses several chunks of code from this book does not require permission. Selling or distributing examples from O'Reilly books does require permission. Answering a question by citing this book and quoting example code does not require permission. Incorporating a significant amount of example code from this book into your product's documentation does require permission. We appreciate, but generally do not require, attribution. An attribution usually includes the title, author, publisher, and ISBN. For example, Python for DevOps by Noah Gift, Kennedy Berman, Alfredo Diza, and Grig Gurayu. If you feel your use of code examples falls outside fair use or the permission above, feel free to contact us at permissions. So yeah, this book is so nice. I love this book. O'Reilly Online Learning. For more than 40 years, O'Reilly Media has provided technical and business training, knowledge, and insight to help companies succeed. Our unique network of experts and innovators share their knowledge and expertise through books, articles, conferences, and our online learning platform. O'Reilly's online learning platform gives you an on-demand access to live training courses, in-depth learning paths, interactive coding environments, and a vast collection of text and video from O'Reilly and 200 plus other publishers. For more information, please visit O'Reilly.com. That's something I might actually consider because I like this Kindle Cloud Reader if there's a table of contents, because it's really easy to skip through the book. And then I really like the notes and marks, but it's a little bit wonky, it's a little bit buggy. So if I could find something that allows you to skip through the book real easily and take notes in a more robust manner, I would consider purchasing that. But I would need to know, I need like a trial or something. Yeah, so I get a 10-day trial. So I would consider taking the trial, and if it's great, moving on to O'Reilly Media as my source instead of just Amazon. Because right now my source for these books is just Amazon. So if I Google cloud computing, I've got all kinds of books here. You know, any level of technical you know, and then I can say, even though this isn't the O'Reilly Did it add it to this group? No, it didn't. Oh, that's the biggest thing that is a huge limitation to Kindle Cloud Reader. You can't copy and paste from it, and that's a purposeful decision, I think, because they don't want you to be able to save the book and distribute it. And for me, that's just not okay. Not because I have a desire to profit from distribute books, just because I need to take notes and use it in a way. And I need to quickly, like, you know, I want to right click and Google search terms easier without having to type it out. But you can see they've got, let me do O'Reilly Media so that I'm, yeah, you can see we've got the whole O'Reilly Media library on here, and then we get them in Google Cloud. So this works for me pretty well. Yeah, this looks interesting. This looks interesting. Oh, let's see what they have for network engineering. And again, I'm getting off track. And I've got a hard limit coming up soon. I need to move on. This looks like a good exam, or sorry, a good book. Everything you need to know that wasn't on the CCNA exam. This looks like a good one too. The build trap. This looks like a good one too. Chaos engineering. But I can sort it by newest arrivals. Yeah, and then I can see the newest books. And I don't have to have it be O'Reilly. I can just do network engineering. But this one looks really interesting. It might be a little bit like I might have just seen a lot of this through experience. It's like okay, but anyway, I need to be reading that book, and I've got a hard cut off in like a few minutes. So let's keep reading that. I can add this to my wish list though. Let me add this to my wish list because this is. How do I do that? I don't know how to add it to a wish list. I thought it was going to be easier than that. This one looks interesting too. Is this an O'Reilly Media one? No. That looks really interesting. Oh, I can add it to my cart and just have it sit in my cart. So yeah, I'm gonna add this to my cart as well. I don't know how to add it to my cart. All right, but let's keep going. How to contact us, irrelevant. Maybe this is relevant. Technical questions. Oh, there's a YouTube. Like and subscribe to that. Yeah, O'Reilly. Let me subscribe to that using my account here. Okay. So yeah, let's read the acknowledgements. Okay, let's try to get to chapter 1 as soon as possible. I'll cut down the tangents. So this is acknowledgements. To start off, the authors would like to thank the two main technical reviewers of the book. Wes Novacek is an accountant and engineer specializing in public cloud systems and web-scale SaaS, storage as a service, I believe, applications. He designs, builds, and manages complex systems that enable highly available infrastructure, continuous delivery pipelines, and rapid releases within large polyglot microservice ecosystems hosted on AWS and GCP, probably Google Cloud something. Wes makes extensive use of languages, and this is where I have a problem with this because I can't just Google that term right from here. Frameworks and tools to define infrastructure as code, drive automation, and eliminate toil. He is vocal in the tech community by participating in mentorship workshops and conferences, and he is also a Pluralsight video course author. Wes is an advocate for the CALMS of DevOps, culture, automation, lean, measurement, and sharing. You can find him on Twitter at Wesley Tech or visit his personal blog, so we're definitely going to include his personal blog in the video description links. Oops, it looks like in order to add it to the group, I have to expand the group. There we go, but then I don't have to do it directly over the group tab. Brad Anderson is a software engineer and architect. He has designed and developed software professionally for 30 years. He works as a catalyst for change and innovation. He has assumed leadership and development roles across a spectrum of enterprise organizations to startups. Brad is currently pursuing a master's degree in data science at the University of California, Berkeley. You can find more information on Brad's LinkedIn profile, so I probably won't add a LinkedIn profile in there. We would also like to thank Jeremy Yabrow and Colin D. Erdman for chipping in with many great ideas and bits of feedback. Noah, I would like to thank the co-authors of this book, Greg, Kennedy, and Alfredo. It was incredible working with a team that was this effective. Kennedy, thanks to my coworkers, it has been a pleasure to work with you, and thanks for the patience and understanding of my family. Alfredo, in 2010, 9 years ago as of this writing, this book was first published in 2019. I landed my first software engineering job. I was 31 years old with no college education and no previous engineering experience. That job meant accepting a reduced salary with no health insurance. I learned a lot, met amazing people, and gained expertise through relentless determination. Throughout those years, it would have been impossible to get here without people opening opportunities and pointing me in the right direction. Thanks to Chris Benson, who saw that I was hungry for learning and kept finding opportunities to have me around. Thanks to Alejandro Cadavid, who realized that I could fix things nobody else wanted to fix. You helped me get work when no one, including myself, thought I could be useful. Carlos Cole got me into programming and didn't let me quit even when I asked him to. Learning to program changed my life, and Carlos had the patience to push me to learn and land my first program in production. To Joni Benton for believing in me and helping me land my first full-time job. Thanks to Jonathan LaCour, an inspiring boss who continues to help me get to a better place. Your advice has always been invaluable to me. Noah, thanks for your friendship and guidance. You are a tremendous source of motivation to me. I always enjoyed working together, like that one time when we built infrastructure from scratch. Your patience and guidance when I had no idea about Python was life-changing. Last Lastly, a tremendous thanks to my family, my wife Claudia, who never doubts my ability to learn and improve, and so generous and understanding of the time I spent working toward this book. My children, Efren, Inagio, and Alana. Grig, my thanks to all creators of open source software. Without them, our jobs would be so much more bleak and unfulfilling. And thank you to all who blog and share your knowledge freely. Lastly, I also wish to thank the co-authors of this book. It has been a really fun ride. Okay, so I'm at chapter 1. That's going to be end of this video, which is the first part of my new series for this book. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part of this series. I'll probably see you before that in some of my other series, where I go over chapter 1 of this book, Python for DevOps by O'Reilly Media.